Okay, this is a really interesting read already. I think what I'm picking up is there's a new beginning coming in, and you're kind of accepting it, you're at peace with it, but I think new beginnings kind of create a bit of an unknown factor. So it's like you don't know what's really on the other side, and I think that is kind of creating some internal distress. All right, 3 cards for that Eight of Swords. Actually, 3 more for that Eight of Swords. 2 more for that Eight of Swords. Okay, so the Eight of Swords is interesting because we have the Fool and the King of Swords, which are 2 very clear-cut cards, right? It's a new beginning. You know, you have total mental clarity about what's happening. And then we kind of have this sort of polarized energy of the Lovers and the Moon. And the Lovers can sometimes represent a choice, and the Moon obviously is kind of more like our subconscious world, or sort of what is unknown. And what I think is interesting is that even though there is clarity about maybe moving forward in a specific direction, I think there's a lot of, as I said before, there's sort of some, it's sort of like, yeah, I'm making a decision, but is this the right decision? Is this the direction I want to be going in? So it's kind of like you're taking a step forward, but you're like, is that the step I should be taking forward? And it looks like this isn't a small decision, by the way. This looks like a pretty significant decision. It's like, let's say you just had a baby and you needed to go buy a car. It's like you're finally nailing down which car it is you want to buy, and it's kind of like that. Is this the right car for me? Is this, am I making the right decision? I feel confident that this is what I need to do based on everything I've processed, but there's this last kind of gasp of, is it? All right, 3 cards for that Judgment, please. All right. Okay, so what I'm getting from Judgment is there's kind of a desire to be clear in our decision making. So we have like the King of Wands, the Knight of Cups, and the Nine of Cups. And what I really get is it's like, even though there is this overarching kind of confusion, sort of this complexity that we have to iron out, I think with the Judgment card, there's sort of a push to really want to feel, A, that we're making the right decision for ourselves, and B, that, feeling confident in our decision-making skills. So I think there is kind of like a desire to feel positive, or the desire to really feel like, yeah, I'm making good decisions for myself, or I am going in the right direction. So there's kind of, I don't want to say it's like you need support or like a rallying cry, but it's kind of a feeling of just that internal sense of like, no, I know what I'm doing. I know what I want. I am feeling good about the choices I am making for myself. All right, 3 cards for that High Priestess. 1 more for that High Priestess. I think the High Priestess is really giving a really nice, quiet confidence, which is like, it's kind of like being able to rest on your laurels a little bit, where it's like, I think where the other energies kind of showed a little bit of like, being unsure in oneself, being unsure of one's own decision making, and the quality of one's own decision making. I think the High Priestess is kind of saying, look, you're still alive, you still have a roof over your head, you know, you're still able to take care of yourself. Obviously, you can't be that bad at decision making if you have, you know, been able to do well for yourself. And again, the interesting thing is I'm seeing the 10 of Pentacles and the 9 of Pentacles, which are like cards to me that signify a lot of both security within the self, but also security in what one has created for oneself. And I think the Strength card is just, it just shows that you have that tenacity and you have that, you know, you have that power in you to make shit happen and make shit happen in a good way. But this, again, this High Priestess energy, I think where the Judgment energy was like looking more for like a rallying cry, the High Priestess feels more like a relaxing of feeling like secure in oneself and in one's decision making. So the High Priestess definitely feels a little bit more down tempo. It does definitely feel a little bit more peaceful. It's like looking at oneself and being like, look, it can't be that bad, even though mentally I might feel a bit conflicted about it. All right, and 4 cards for the Hermit, please. 4. Ooh. So for the Hermit, we have the, here, I'll move this over. One sec. I actually don't have a stand right now, so I'm using like a lamp to hold this together. Okay, so the Hermit is basically saying that even though we are kind of making a decision, even though there's a lot of apprehension, I think we're still kind of dubious about our decision making. Like, it's not like, even though we want this rallying cry, even though we're like, hey, we're not dead yet, I think there still isn't like a confidence that's kicking in yet about whatever choice or direction it is that you're moving in. So I think it's kind of like driving and hitting a pothole. Like, I feel like where things kind of land is that there's sort of an acceptance that we have hit a pothole. And it's not seeing it as a bad thing or a good thing, but just kind of understanding that whatever path we're on or whatever stage we're at in a decision-making process, that is simply just a component of it. And I'm seeing the Wheel of Fortune at the bottom, which kind of just signifies that while we are moving forward, we're also kind of accepting what is happening in the present, and we're kind of seeing it as part of the process. So I think overall, it does look like tomorrow's kind of going to be a day of really kind of mentally deliberating, maybe a loss of confidence here and there, but then kind of accepting that life is sometimes about, you know, knowing what you know, knowing what you don't know, and also there being that third part of not knowing what you don't know. So yeah, all right, I hope this helped. Thanks.